Hey, hi, beautiful people. If you have never been in here before, my name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston. I record my live episodes on YouTube. My podcast. I have a podcast, and I record them live on YouTube. So let me. I'm gonna go on Anchor and hit record so we can talk about today's subject. Hello, beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining another episode of Celeste Therapist Podcast. My name is Celeste and I'm a therapist from Boston. If you've never been in here before, thank you for being here. On Wednesdays, I talk about issues we all go through, and then I kind of think about these solutions and ways in which we can deal with it. I also record these episodes live on YouTube. So if you ever want to catch the video live of the bonus episode, you can catch it on YouTube. Don't forget, if you want to support me in the podcast, you can do so by sharing this episode. You can follow me on social media. You can rate me anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can purchase a book from my merchandise. I have 2 books out. And I also have a relationship goals course out that's designed to give you the steps that you need to create a healthy foundation in your relationship. It can be done alone or with a partner. And the purpose of this is to really give you insight into your relationship and how you play a role into it. So that's pretty much the purpose. So this past episode on Mondays, I talked to people that are empowering other people. And this past Monday, I had the beautiful Michelle Jackson on, who shared her story with me. She's somebody who went through years of abuse at a young age, 3 suicide attempts. And she shared her story and how she got to the point of realizing that she wanted more out of life, and she found her why, and she found her purpose, and is able to share it with the world. So I'm grateful for her for coming on. I'm grateful for her for sharing her story. So definitely check that story out when you get a chance if you have not checked it out already. And also, I believe we're at 75,000 downloads, which means that we're like 25,000 downloads away from 100,000, which is incredible. Guys, I'm all about celebrating the moments, and that's a huge moment for me because if you haven't listened to episode 1, I said I'm starting this episode. I'm recording it right now with knowing that it could fail, right? I didn't know what was going to take place July 2nd, 2018, when I started this podcast. I did not know that I would be in over 100 countries. I didn't know that so many people would find so much value in it. And so many people have told me that they've started therapy because of it, or it helped them really get insight into their lives because of the way that I present the mental health topics that I talk about. So thank you guys. Thank you for sharing it with your people. Thank you for encouraging me. I'm so grateful for you guys. All right, let's talk about today's topic. So today, too many people overvalue what they are not and undervalue what they are, right? We put a lot of value in what we don't have as opposed to what we have. I know for me, I grew up where we always had to look good on the outside. Everything had to be so perfect. And luckily for me, that didn't stick with me. There are some people who kind of grew up in that era where things had to look good, be a certain way, but nobody's talking about nothing. There's no emotions being shared, but on the outside, you got to look good. And that way of thinking really stems from, I feel like, our society and how our society kind of encourages us to do things a certain way, and it lets us know if you're not doing it, you're not doing well, right? So for a long time, I always thought college was the only way. If I didn't go to college, I wasn't going to be nothing. Luckily for me, I ended up in a career where I needed the degree in order to be a therapist, right? But as I was entering into college, I didn't know that was what I was going to do. And so many people will enter into college because they feel well, that's what I'm supposed to do because that's what America says. Or when it comes to relationships, so many people are hopping into relationships because they feel because they're lacking having a relationship, that's why they're not satisfied. So when I think about today's topic and the fact that we overvalue everything that we're not, we look at the lack in our life, right? I have a new house I've been in for about a couple years. I don't have curtains, I have blinds, me and my husband never even noticed that we didn't have curtains. We never thought about it. And also my headboard broke a year ago. We never replaced the headboard. Like, we're literally content with like our life and our family and our kids. And somebody came over and was like, "Oh, you don't have curtains?" Like, they gave me curtains. They was like, "I don't understand how you don't have curtains." And I said to my husband, I said, "That's interesting how like we never even realized like we don't have curtains. We only have blinds." But the way that the person made it seem as if like there's something wrong with us because it wasn't fixed up with curtains. It's not fixed up perfectly, right? Like the way it should be fixed up, right? There's there's no ethical reason why like I cannot not have curtains, right? It doesn't matter whether or not I have curtains, but I think so many people live their life that way where things have to look a certain way in order for them to portray this image. And I can tell you now that it takes a lot of work to pretend to be okay. It takes a lot of work to put on this image and instead of like doing the work, right? When it comes to the value that you have within yourself, if you start looking at what you are able to do and what you have, right? So for me, I'm so grateful. Anybody that is around me says they always feel a sense of peace. And that's because the peace starts inside. And I'm always grateful for everything that I have. I'm grateful for the blinds that I have my health, right? It's the little things. Unfortunately, we start valuing the little things when there's a loss. So if you lose somebody or if there's something tragic that takes place, we start to realize like and appreciate those things. But why does it have to take a loss, or why does it have to take something tragic happening before we start to value the little things that we have, right? So if you're somebody that's never been in here before and you feel like, this resonates for you, one thing that I also do is not just talk about the issues that we struggle with, but I also like to bring up these solutions. Like, how is it that, you're right, Celeste, I am overvaluing the things that I'm lacking in life, and I don't put enough value onto what I actually have in life, right? Because that's literally a habit, right? It's a habit for me now to wake up with the spirit of gratitude. It's just kind of what I do. If anybody follows me on my personal Instagram, I keep flowers by my desk, and like today, one of the flowers opened, and I was like filled with joy. And for somebody else, it would be like, well, that's what they all do. But for me, it's the little things in life that I find joy in. So when the bigger things happen, it's the added bonus. But I'm always grateful for the little things. So some solutions, like how is it that I can work on valuing the things that I have in life? I have some solutions for you. So the first thing I want to say is you have to wake up with the spirit of gratitude. And you have to be intentional about this process, because if you're not intentional about this process, you will find yourself not able to do this part of the work. If you're not used to saying like, I'm grateful that I'm awake, I'm grateful for this food, I'm grateful that I can get to work today, like those little things, if you're not intentional about doing it, you're not going to do it. How can I be intentional about doing it? You can put a reminder in your phone. What are 3 things you're grateful for, right? You can put something on your mirror where you have to you look at it, where you're asking yourself the question, like, what are the 3 things you're grateful for today? And so the more that you do it, the more that it becomes a habit. So that's number 1. Number 2, if you are trying to change habit or behavior, you have to reframe how you're saying it, right? You have to work on speaking positive over your life. And so a lot of times, if we are always hyper focused on the things that we're lacking, it will constantly talk about that within our head, and we'll say it out loud, where it's just like, oh, well, I'm nothing right now. I'm never going to be nothing. And so you can reframe that by saying, right now, I don't feel like I'm anything, but that doesn't mean I'm not, right? This is the way I feel, and feelings change. So you're reframing that, where if I just say that I'm nothing or I'm never going to be nothing, that feels so absolute and it just deads it. It's the end of it, right? But if I change that thought and says, this is how I feel now, right? Because we're acknowledging how we feel. One thing I don't do is we don't run away from the hard stuff. And it's hard to admit that I feel like I'm nothing, right? So if I say, like, I feel like I'm nothing right now, but that doesn't mean I'm always going to feel that way, that's going to give me hope. I tell people one thing about people talk about having peace when they're around me, right? Because I have the spirit of peace. But the one area where I know, like, that they don't want me around is negative thoughts. Because like your mind, when you have like negative thoughts about yourself and about your life and about your purpose and about where you're going to be, when your negative thoughts, it hooks up with Celeste, the therapist, I feel like they're going to be mad at me because when you allow your negative thoughts to just chill up in your head like that, and then you start to reframe it and like shift the way you think, it's going to be like, man, why you got to still be dealing with Celeste? Why you can't let Celeste go? Because we was chilling before Celeste came, and now Celeste is all up in your head talking this positive stuff. Because, you know, when you're trying to change, it's like a shock to your body, right? It's like a battlefield starts happening where your mind wants to resist it, right? As positive as it is, your mind is going to want to resist that. And why wouldn't it resist it? It's been living in your mind rent free. So that's number 2. Number 3, talking about it isn't enough, right? We can talk about like, yes, I want to value like who I am. I want to value the moments that I spend with people. I don't want to put so much value on the things I don't have, right? We can talk about that. We can listen to Celeste's podcast and we can talk about it, but the action piece has to happen, right? Like, so when I talked about earlier, the intentionality around like putting a message somewhere or a note on your mirror or in your phone to remind you that you need to like really think about waking up with the spirit of gratitude. That is an action step that you're taking, right? The action steps will start to give you so much clarity where you're going to find yourself feeling and being different. Number 4, focus on being better than who you were yesterday. That's like one of my favorite things to say. I heard it at church one time. A preacher said, make today better than your yesterday. Right. And so like when I heard that, it stuck with me. That's never left me. Every day I say, I want to make today better than my yesterday. And I say that when I say focus on it, because sometimes our yesterday may have been really bad. Right. And sometimes when our yesterday is bad, we tend to say, you know what, screw the whole week. Right. If our yesterday was a Tuesday, and we tell ourselves, I can't wait till Friday. Like, why we wait until Friday to be okay? Like, why can't we just say, you know what? Yesterday was trash. I want my today to be yet better than my yesterday. I tell people all the time, I said, having that mindset is like saying, I got one flat tire, right? Like, I got the flat tire. You know what? I already got one flat tire. Let me just go ahead and like flatten the other 3. Like, why not just flatten the other 3? Because I already flattened the one. Literally, that's what you say when you don't focus on making your today better than your yesterday. So you have to think about that, like that mindset. Like, if you got to write it down somewhere, write it down. I'm a big believer in writing it down and making it plain, because it literally will change the narrative, because you're challenging that thought by having it up there. So if I have this attitude where I'm the person that be popping all the tires because one was popped, and every day I see this thing on my mirror, or I see this like screenshot on my phone that's like, make today better than your yesterday. I think that I won't be popping all those tires anymore. I think I'm going to work on like fixing that tire. I'm going to make today better than my yesterday. The last thing I want to say about this is that it's a journey. Like, it's literally a journey. And I say that every single time. If you've been in here before, I'm always going to say that. I say that because sometimes when we realize that we're doing things in a way that's not beneficial for us, we want the changes to happen right away, right? We want it to be like right now. Like, I don't want to keep valuing and just looking at the things that I don't have or the things that I'm lacking, right? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't look at what you're lacking if it's something that you want to work on. But you can't be so hyper focused on it that you forget about the things that are going well in your life, the things that you are doing well. Because what happens is the negative sticks out, right? You've been in here before. I say you eat at a restaurant 50 times, you get food sick one time, you won't go back to that restaurant, even though 49 times you had an amazing experience. The negative is always going to stick out. So because I know that the negative is always going to stick out, I have to be really mindful and diligent on looking at what's happening in a positive way. So I really hope that was helpful. I hope that makes sense. Don't forget, people in California, I'm coming to you May 9th. Save the date, May 9th. I'm coming to Agora Hills, California. It's right outside of LA. And so I'm excited about that. We're going to have a live show, and I'm going to talk to somebody that's doing something to empower the lives of others. And he's so excited to be on, and I'm so excited to have him. So if you enjoyed the episode, share it with somebody that you love. If anything I say resonates for you, understand you have the power to make the change, but you just have to have faith to believe in yourself. So until next time, beautiful people, I will talk to you guys later. Yay, I finished. All right, that's done. Let me go back to YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Good afternoon. Hi, beautiful Ashes. Hey, how are you? Oh, you finally came in. I think I don't follow you. I need to follow you. I'm doing good. I know exactly who you are. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed that episode. And I appreciate you guys for coming in. If you're watching me on the replay, I appreciate you for coming in and popping in and watching it on the replay. And I'll be back on next Wednesday. Bye.